Hi everybody and welcome back. We're going to, in this video, cover different drawing methods for creating value. And the basic techniques for those are hatching, cross-hatching, okay, scribbling and stippling. Once you master each technique, you can vary the visual effect of that technique by varying the spacing, the density, the texture, and the direction of your method. Wait, what is texture? Texture is the relative smoothness or roughness of a surface. And whenever we use a value technique such as hatching or stippling, we will create texture in our drawing. And there's a relationship between that value and the texture, which might be rough, hard, soft, polished, or dull. So here you have on the screen an example of some different value techniques being used to create variations in texture. And so you can see the difference between the soft and fuzzy fabric underneath the smooth and polished silverware in this particular example. There's a distinction between physical texture and visual texture. Physical texture is a characteristic surface quality of your particular material. For example, your wood will have grain, your fabric will have a weave or a nap, and your stone will have a hewn appearance. Okay, tactile texture is one that can physically be felt by touch. Visual texture, on the other hand, is a representation of a surface. Okay, it's not color, it's not form, but it can be perceived in a drawing. Okay, and so we have an example here. On the left-hand column is all physical texture. We've got that might be wood. Yes, I think it is the bark of a tree. We've got a fabric texture right here. And these are physical textures in that if that item was real, we could touch and feel that texture. On the right-hand column, we have some examples of visual texture. This is a cross-hatching, a stippling, a scribble effect, and you can use those different effects to create visual texture in your drawing. And here's an example of it right here. You can see this person's skin is using a cross-hatching technique. You know that people's skin don't actually have a crosshatch on it, but that visual texture is giving some depth and some interest to your drawing. Okay, all tactile textures provide visual texture as well. All right, visual texture can be illusory, all right, like as in this cross-hatching skin example, or it can be real. So here's some more examples of visual texture. We have this one still life of two vases done in 6 different ways, providing 6 different visual textures. How do these vases actually feel? What is their tactile feel? I believe that they are a smooth feeling. But we have, in this example, we're seeing many different visual textures used to imply and give depth and give interest to these drawings. All right, so enough talking. Let's try and make some textures. Alrighty, everybody, so here we are at the drawing board, and let's try some of these different drawing textures. First, you have hatching. Hatching can be vertical, can be horizontal. You can vary the gradations, so you can have hatching be farther apart and move to closer together. Okay, you can then do cross hatching. This is fairly common where you include, especially maybe in only part of it, a 90-degree hatch pattern. Okay. Or you can also vary that one. So let's try this here. Farther apart and to closer together. Okay. So that is hatching. Stippling is a little bit harder. Okay. It's very, very time consuming, but it can create a beautifully smooth and even pattern. And so stippling is a favorite of architects. What you want to do is get your pen or pencil perpendicular to the paper. Now I'm using pen today because I noticed that it shows up better in my videos, but I'm going to have you practice with both pen and pencil. All right, and you just dot, dot, dot together. Okay, that is stippling. Now, if you want a darker value, all right, you are going to stipple more densely in a particular area. Okay. If you want a different or rougher pattern, then you can change to a bigger pen. Let's see here. Here we go. And let's see, I was using the 05 and I'll switch to the 08 here. Okay. So you can see that that gives you a different or rougher pattern. You can zoom in. Look at that. Awesome. Okay. Um, so what you don't want to do is be stippling along and decide that you want a darker value in a section and switch to the bigger pen. Okay, what that does is change your texture, it changes your pattern. Okay, if you want a smooth texture throughout, stick with the same size pen or pencil. You also want to be sure to notice this one right here. It's kind of more like a squiggle than a dot. That's because I was not paying attention, and my pen slipped from that perpendicular position. Okay, so if you go at an angle, you're going to get these irregular looking stipples. Okay, so keep your pen or your pencil at a vertical angle. Okay, let's try a scribble. So these, of course, are highly individualistic, and you can use whatever pattern you like, but you can start with a light value scribble and maybe change to a darker value scribble by going over it more and more. And we'll end up with our darkest value here. Okay. There's a million different ways that you can create value in your drawing. Um, we went through a couple of cross-hatching patterns, but you can also use other patterns such as little circles. Okay, and see how I can make it darker by overlapping the same circles. All right, there's a lot of different patterns you can use. All right, everybody, that was all we have to say about some drawing methods for creating value. Now I'm going to expect you in this week's exercise, this activity, to practice and come up with some of your own ways for this. Thanks.